Bear Hollow. Just the name sent shivers down your spine. Locals knew to steer clear. Stories whispered around campfires, tales of strange lights, chilling cries echoing in the night. A place where darkness lingered even on the sunniest day. Towering pines stood sentinel, their branches intertwining, choking out the sunlight. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. An unnatural silence permeated the woods, broken only by the occasional snap of a twig. It was a place of secrets, whispered to have claimed those foolish enough to venture within. A place where the rational mind faltered and fear took hold. Bear Hollow was more than just a forest. It was a living, breathing entity. Mark, David, and Jack, college friends, bound by their thirst for adventure, their shared laughter echoing through the trees. They scoffed at the local legends, dismissing them as mere superstition, tales spun to scare the unwary. They decided to spend a weekend camping in Bear Hollow, a place whispered about in hushed tones. A test of courage, a challenge to defy the darkness, to prove their bravery to one another. Mark, the pragmatic one, packed extra batteries and a first aid kit, always prepared for the unexpected. David, the skeptic, armed himself with a camera, determined to capture proof of the supernatural, if it existed. Jack, the thrill-seeker, his eyes gleaming with anticipation, packed nothing but a sleeping bag and a flask, ready for whatever came. The closer they got to Bear Hollow, the quieter they became, their earlier bravado fading. The air seemed to grow colder, the shadows longer, as if the forest itself was watching them. Still, they pressed on, their youthful bravado masking a growing unease. The woods awaited, silent and foreboding, ready to test their mettle. Their first night fell like a shroud. The campfire crackled, casting flickering shadows that danced menacingly on the surrounding trees. They shared stories, their voices loud in the oppressive silence, trying to mask the growing tension. As the fire died down, so did their conversation. A strange stillness settled over the woods, broken only by the rustling of leaves. Then the whispers started, faint at first, like the wind sighing through the trees. They strained to listen, their hearts pounding in their chests. The whispers grew louder, closer, forming words they couldn't quite decipher. It was as if the woods themselves were speaking, uttering secrets best left unheard. The next day, driven by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, they ventured deeper into the woods. The whispers seemed to guide them, leading them to a clearing. There, shrouded in shadow, stood a dilapidated cabin. Its windows were boarded shut, the door hanging precariously from one hinge. Inside, they found a dusty table, a single chair, and a mold-ridden journal. Its pages, filled with frantic scribbles, spoke of strange occurrences, of shadowy figures and disembodied voices. One entry sent chills down their spines. "They whisper to me in the night," it read. "They watch me from the shadows. I fear they will take me too." The words, written in a shaky hand, ended abruptly. As dusk descended, the whispers returned, more insistent, more menacing. They sat huddled around the dying embers of their campfire, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, taking on sinister shapes. Then movement in the periphery, a fleeting glimpse of a dark figure darting between the trees. They tried to convince themselves it was just their imagination, fueled by the stories and the unsettling atmosphere. But deep down, a primal fear took root. The whispers, the shadows, the abandoned cabin, it all pointed to a truth they were too terrified to acknowledge. Bear Hollow was as real as the fear that coursed through their veins. A sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing their campfire. They were plunged into darkness, the oppressive blackness closing around them like a fist. Panic began to set in. Their flashlights, their only source of light in the impenetrable darkness, flickered and died. One by one they were swallowed by the shadows, leaving them vulnerable and disoriented. The whispers intensified, swirling around them, mocking their fear.
Guys, where are you?
Mark's voice, tight with fear, cut through the darkness. No response, only the rustling of leaves and the incessant whispering. They were alone in the darkness. Blindly, they stumbled through the woods, adrenaline pumping through their veins. They crashed through the undergrowth, branches whipping at their faces, their breath coming in ragged gasps. The whispers seemed to be closing in, urging them onward. Mark, his heart pounding in his chest, tripped over a fallen log and fell. He lay there for a moment, gasping for breath, his mind racing. He had to get out of the woods, had to find his friends. He scrambled to his feet and ran, his fear propelling him forward. The woods were a labyrinth, the trees closing in around him, the whispers echoing in his ears. He was lost, alone, and utterly terrified. Mark burst out of the woods, his clothes torn, his breath ragged and uneven. He had been running for what felt like hours, the dense forest closing in on him with every step. His face scratched and bloodied, a testament to the harrowing journey he had just endured. The branches had clawed at him, leaving deep gashes that stung with every movement. He collapsed on the side of the road, gasping for breath, his chest heaving as he tried to steady himself. The adrenaline that had fueled his escape was now ebbing away, leaving him weak and trembling. His body racked with sobs, the weight of the night's events crashing down on him. Tears streamed down his face, mingling with the dirt and blood. He had made it out of Bear Hollow, but at what cost? The forest loomed behind him, dark and foreboding, a silent witness to the horrors that had unfolded within. He waited for what felt like an eternity, his eyes scanning the tree line for any sign of movement. The minutes stretched on, each one more agonizing than the last. But David and Jack never emerged from the woods. He called their names, his voice growing more desperate with each shout, but there was no response. As dawn broke, casting its pale light over the scene, the forest seemed to mock him with its serene beauty. The contrast between the peaceful morning and the chaos of the night was almost too much to bear. The horrifying reality of the situation sunk in. His friends were gone. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut, leaving him breathless and hollow. He called their names until his voice was hoarse, the echoes of his shouts fading into the distance. The forest remained silent, offering no clues, no solace. But the only answer was the mournful chirping of birds, their songs a haunting reminder of the life that continued on, indifferent to his pain. The woods were silent now, the whispers gone. The eerie quiet was almost suffocating, a stark contrast to the terror that had filled the night, but the fear lingered, a cold knot in the pit of his stomach. It was a fear that would stay with him, a constant reminder of the friends he had lost and the darkness that still lurked in Bear Hollow. The authorities were called, but their search yielded nothing. No sign of David or Jack, no footprints, no indication of what had transpired in the depths of Bear Hollow. The official conclusion: lost hikers, victims of the unforgiving wilderness. Mark knew better. He had seen the shadows, heard the whispers. He knew that something sinister had taken his friends, something ancient and evil that lurked within the heart of Bear Hollow. He returned to the woods, time and time again, searching, hoping against hope for some sign of his friends. But Bear Hollow held its secrets close, refusing to relinquish its grip on the two young men who had dared to defy its darkness. Years passed, but the mystery of Bear Hollow remained. The forest, with its dense canopy and shadowy paths, held onto its secrets tightly, refusing to let go. The whispers continued, carried on the wind, a chilling reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded within those dark woods. Each gust seemed to carry a fragment of the past, a ghostly echo of what once was. The locals knew to stay away, their fear a testament to the enduring power of the unknown. Stories of strange sightings and eerie sounds kept them at bay, their imaginations running wild with possibilities. Mark never forgot his friends, their laughter echoing in his memory. Those carefree days seemed like a distant dream, overshadowed by the darkness that had swallowed them whole. He carried the weight of their disappearance, the unanswered questions, a constant burden. Every day he wondered what had happened, replaying the events over and over in his mind, searching for clues. He knew that the truth lay somewhere within the shadows of Bear Hollow, guarded by secrets as old as time itself. The forest seemed alive, its ancient trees whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. And so the legend of Bear Hollow lived on, a chilling reminder that some places are best left undisturbed, some mysteries better left unsolved. The forest stood as a silent sentinel, its secrets buried deep within its heart. For within the heart of those ancient woods, darkness reigned, and the whispers never ceased. The mystery of Bear Hollow remained, a haunting enigma that would continue to captivate and terrify for generations to come.